Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's Wednesday and the very last day of September, and it's not going to be a great way to start off October either. As we get ready to say goodbye to this month, saying hello to the next is going to do so with some even cooler air than what I told you about over the past 24 and 48 hours, and possibly much wetter conditions. A lot of eyes are on a system that's going to give us showers of rain, likely for a couple of days on end throughout the course of your weekend. And then after that, Hurricane Joaquin might combine with that system as it reaches the eastern seaboard or close to it, and that eventually could give not just the folks on the coast, but even us here, some more significant rainfall. It could be one big wet mess. I'll outline it for you in more detail, as bad as I hate to, but it is definitely looking to be a lot of rainfall, especially for those more to our west, but it could certainly be significant for us. In lieu of some late-breaking news, I'm bumping a report that I had for you. We will be this evening speaking with an attorney representing McGoffin County Judge Executive Charles Hardin. He had 30 days that day, or timeline expiring on the second day of October in just a couple of days as it pertains to whether or not he was going to file an appeal to the Kentucky Supreme Court. There has been some action today. I'll have Mr. Jim Deckard, an attorney we've had in the program in-house before. In just a few moments, they'll tell us what has happened today and what that means to Judge Executive's office. I spent most all of the day. I just wanted to say a word of thanks. I'm just sliding in behind the desk. That seems like it's the case more often than not, but with a sick puppy, I've been at the West Liberty Veterinary Clinic. Seeing them on a daily basis now for the past several days. I spent the first half of today there, and just wanted to send out a special thanks to Dr. Ralph Adams and everyone else who has been taking care of our little puppy, and leave her in their care this afternoon. So just want to say thanks, and I also said that as a reminder, as while I had a few moments today, I stepped out back and spoke with Dr. Bill Holbrook, of course, the founder of the West Liberty Veterinary Clinic. They're going to be cooking sorghum for about a week and a half until they run out of cane. I got a little cup of foam and a little jar of sorghum to bring back, and made for a nice, tasty treat, a bright spot in my day. So you've got a little more time. They'll have some sorghum thereafter until it runs out, but it's going fast. They've sold it as fast as they can make it this year. And if you get you a cup of foam, well, that's always a good thing to do. And he's glad to oblige, and should you come down. And, of course, they do that right behind the clinic there in West Liberty. With that said, we're going to talk about elections, as I just mentioned, as it pertains to the McGoffin County Judges race, and will there be there won't be a potential election this year, of course. The filing deadline is already surpassed, but what the happenings today will mean to the possibility of an election for the Judge Executive's office next year, that in just a few moments. On a statewide note, though, we're just about 5 weeks out from the November 3rd general election. There's a new poll out. The Election and Herald Leader, as well as the Courier Journal and some other agencies, all combined to put together for a bluegrass poll. And the Herald Leader is reporting that it is similar to the one taken back in July. Shows numbers that are still similar, but still leave the race open to speculation and interpretation, and up to what appears to be a continued set of swing voters in the case who are still yet undecided. Shows Matt Bevin with 37%, while Jack Conway received 42% of the support on behalf of about 700 voters which were questioned. Now compare this to July's poll, and the Lexington Herald says those numbers were similar. Bevin receiving 38% and Conway receiving 43%. The paper also cited Stephen Voss, a political science professor at the University of Kentucky. He says that he believes Bevin is having more trouble exciting the state's Republicans than Conway faces with the Democrats. He also says that this election, interestingly, is going to come down to the same swing votes in Kentucky, those swing votes who have been deciding most all of our recent elections at least, and that's the folks who disapprove of the job performance of President Barack Obama, but do not disapprove of the job performance of our Kentucky State Governor, Steve Beshear. In the same poll, 50% said they approved of the job that Governor Beshear was doing, while only 31% approved of that of the president. Meanwhile, speaking of future elections, the candidate who lost the Republican primary to Matt Bevin by a mere 83 votes, that's Kentucky's Agriculture Commissioner James Comer, announced today that he's going to run for Congress, and he's going to do so in his home district, Kentucky's 1st district, that is. He says he's going to seek to take the seat of U.S. Representative Ed Whitfield, who just announced yesterday, I believe it was, that he's going to retire at the end of 2016 after serving 2 decades in that seat. Comer, according to reports, says that it's an opportunity that he just could not deny. He also said it was a blessing, referring to Whitfield's decision to step down after so many years, that would make him feel right at home. That is because he would technically be at home. Comer is from Casey County, and that is basically where the line for the 1st District begins, from Casey County all the way to the western border of the state. And in that 35 district area, back in the Republican primary when he was running for governor, he carried all 35 of those counties, and it was also some of his largest fundraising efforts. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. Circuit Judge John David Preston declared in his court the position of Montgomery County Judge Executive vacant, citing what he said was an unfair election. Of course, it's been one appeal process after the other, and that led us up to most recently the Kentucky Court of Appeals denying to rehear the case of Dr. Charles Hardin and the Montgomery County Board of Elections in any form or fashion. That left the Judge Executive of Montgomery County a 30-day window to file an appeal or a request, I should say, with the Kentucky Supreme Court. That timeline was set to end in just about 2 days on the 2nd. I did speak with an attorney representing Dr. Charles Hardin earlier today who tells me that paperwork has been filed. He also tells me what that means for a potential timeline. It's obvious, since the appeal process has by far surpassed the month of August this year, this previous month of August, that there will be no election for Montgomery County Judge Executive this year should the seat be determined to be vacant on a complete and final basis. But that with this latest revelation today and the timeline that he thinks is set forth by the Kentucky Supreme Court, they may use the amount of time that they now have, and this may mean that it might be months before there is some sort of finality and possibly an election maybe for the seat of Montgomery County Judge Executive next year. All this happens after the paperwork was filed today, he says, with the Kentucky Supreme Court.
The Court of Appeals issued an opinion in June that upheld the trial court's decision asking that a new election be held for the office of Montgomery County Judge Executive. We today, in the state capitol in Frankfort, filed a motion for discretionary review with the Kentucky Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's a group of 7 judges from across the state that oversee all courts, and we've asked them to review the decision of the Court of Appeals, and hopefully they will take review of the entire case, that we will file some briefs, that we will hopefully have an oral argument in Frankfurt concerning the opinion of the Court of Appeals. It's our hope at the end of the day that the Court of Appeals opinion is reversed and that Judge Hardin be allowed to continue to serve the remainder of the term for which he was elected.
What is it that you think would make it different this time around that they would see differently than the lower courts and reverse the decision?
We believe there was significant error in the trial court level. Importantly, the trial court held that there was nothing specific that Dr. Hardin did wrong, but he had questions about the operation of the clerk's office, the operation of the election process as a whole, as did the Court of Appeals. What the Court of Appeals opinion does, though, is it places requirements not only on the Montgomery County clerk, but on county clerks statewide that are beyond what current law requires. We believe the Supreme Court will take review because the case has statewide importance. The case puts parameters and new requirements on clerks across the state that need the guidance of the Supreme Court to be put in place.
What's your understanding of the timeline that this now puts on the issue as far as response time from the other side, and as to what kind of time frame as for the court to consider to hear the case?
Past the first Tuesday in August, there will be no election for County Judge Executive in Montgomery County this year, no matter what happens. The earliest an election will be is next year. We believe that the Supreme Court will take review, but they'll do that after the John Montgomery has a chance to file a response, and he'll have to do that within 30 days. And then the court, in the following months after that, will make a decision to take review. If they take review, they will ask for briefs, which will take 60 to 90 days, and then they'll hear argument another 30 to 60 days after that. So it's looking like, if they take review, we'll be into next summer, next fall of 2016. One of the things that's so important to Doc Hardin is that of the 6,500 people in McGoffin County that voted, their votes ought to be counted. They shouldn't be thrown out by a judicial opinion. They took the time to go to the polls and vote for their candidate, whoever the candidate might be, and we believe their votes ought to be counted.
Got a few announcements just in that I want to add to the community calendar before I get to a few reminders. Let me make note of the following. The Community Free Will Baptist Church on Route 40 in Sayersville is having their homecoming this Sunday. Special singing by Doug and Kathy Hicks. A lot of good preaching and a good dinner afterwards. Pastor Matt Cottle and everyone welcome you to join them at the Community Free Will Baptist Church on Route 40 this Sunday, the 4th, for special singing with Doug and Kathy Hicks and some preaching to follow, and of course the good food afterwards. A little later on down the line, not this Friday, but next, just to put it on your calendar, the Kearney Free Will Baptist Youth Group is going to be having a soup bean dinner, and they're going to be delivering in Sayersville to local businesses. It's going to be soup beans and all the fixings. 1 week from this Friday, I'll remind you about it. And the Lakefront Church of God would like to invite you to their annual Harvest Festival. Talk about a big shindig. Not this Saturday, but the following on the 10th. So I'll put that on the calendar and remind you about it over the next few coming days. But they're going to have, of course, as always, handmade crafts and games and prizes and live music, a silent auction, cane sorghum made and sold on site, and a lot of other fun. That's not till the 10th, I will remind you. And now for a few other reminders, here's the rest of tonight's calendar. And I know no one wants to think about it, but it's time to. And flu shots, on that note, are being given out, and it began today at the McGoffin County Health Department. They're open Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, 8 till 3, Tuesdays, 8 till 5, Fridays, 8 till 1. Call 349-6212. Medicaid, Medicare, Humana, Anthem, Kentucky, Employee Health Insurance, all accepted. Please call to find out regarding any other insurances, but get your flu shot as soon as you can. Woodman Life, your meeting tomorrow, 6 p.m. in the Sayersville subway. All members are invited to attend. And a little further down the line, can you tell got my papers a little out of order? A bass tournament. A big bass tournament. I don't know what Mother Nature's going to have to say about it, but it's going to be a great event. Big cash prizes, $1,500 for first prize. It's going to be on Yatesville Lake, sponsored by the Harold Whitaker Middle School Cheerleaders. And if you want to find out more, call 371-3498. They've been planning this for weeks, and I would say even months. Big tournament set, big cash prizes, and it's this Saturday on Yatesville. Don't forget about the 5K walk run that's been put together in honor of Jeremy Arnott and his family. Jeremy recently diagnosed with stage 4 renal cancer. And this run walk is going to be at 10 o'clock in the Ramey Park this Sunday, and I think things will dry out maybe just in time. All sorts of ways you can come and help and be a supporter of he and his family, and it starts this Sunday morning at 10. Team.Arnott, there was the email at the bottom of your screen. Let me back it up just a second in case you want to find out more, because I've already forgot. Team.Arnott 5K walk run at gmail.com. There you go. Team.Arnott 5K walk run at gmail.com. You can register in the morning. Get there before 10. You can have your announcements heard on the program. All you have to do is get them to us. Mail, phone, fax, email, Facebook. Drop them off here at the studio. And on those not so rare occasions that I might forget one, call me on it. Make sure I do. As you can see, our calendar is quite popular, and I have a tendency to let one slide every now and then. Got a birthday for tomorrow that I thought I had for today, so I'll hold that. With that, just a few words from a few of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to wrap up the show, talk about a close call, one of several accidents on rain-slicking roads, and then, talking about rain, well, there comes your forecast, and Joaquin. Stay tuned. Given all the wet roads, they have certainly been a contributing factor to so many auto accidents that we have reported on that have happened elsewhere in eastern Kentucky over the course of the past several days. No new news to report tonight on the death of a West Liberty man, a two-car collision that happened yesterday, a fiery crash early yesterday morning that, of course, claimed the life of a 37-year-old. The 18-year-old still, as I understand, whose vehicle crossed the center line, still recovering in a Huntington hospital. We're awaiting some more details, possibly, as the cause of the crash is still under investigation by the Kentucky State Police. The following, though, is an auto accident that could have been much, much worse, and by just inches proved not to be a life-threatening situation. A Morehead State University student traveling back home for fall break from Morehead to Belfry was nearly seriously injured in this two-car collision that happened in the Pleasant Hill area down on West 460. She lost control of her SUV on rain-slickened roads and slid into the path of an oncoming coal truck. And that, of course, can always spell much worse. Fortunately, though, this was a minor collision by comparison. She collided with the fender or the front bumper of the coal truck, and you can see what just a glancing blow did. She actually refused medical treatment on the scene and spent some time at the McGoffin County Rescue Squad Station 1 waiting on friends to take her on to her residence in Belfort. This is just one of what has literally been dozens of auto accidents on rain-slickened roads over the course of the past several days in McGoffin, Morgan, Johnson, and other counties. And, of course, one of those proved to be fatal yesterday. And there's certainly the potential for more of the same. Hurricane Joaquin intensified today as it approached the small, sparsely populated islands of the eastern Bahamas on a projected track that could take it near the east coast early next week. Today, maximum sustained winds reached 85 and extended 35 miles from the center of the storm over the Atlantic Ocean, according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center. Early next week, it's forecasted that there is at least a possibility that after dropping 3 to 5 inches in the central Bahamas, that it could make its way up the east coast, and that it also may play a part in our weather if it comes close enough to set up shop with another system that's already going to be past us. But moving off to the east coast, we could be set up for some more rainfall on top of what is already shaping up to be a pretty wet weekend. And that's where our focus will lie next week. As for the rest of this week, beginning with tonight, that is, we haven't racked up much rainfall today, and I don't expect that we will tomorrow, but it's coming. A low of 54 tonight, continued cloudy skies, and continued chilly air. The forecast has dropped a few degrees since the last one 24 hours ago. We do have a 40% chance of showers out there, and we'll see some light precipitation as we have on and off throughout today. We'll see some of that light precipitation possible tomorrow. The heavy stuff is still yet to come. But we will see cloudy skies tonight and a low of 54, and that'll take us into your Thursday where temperatures aren't going to improve much once again. I'm at 66 right now and holding for the daytime high today. Not much better than that. 63 is where I expect us to be tomorrow for daytime highs, a low of 52. Another cloudy day, another day with a 40% chance of showers, and those will not be consistent, and they will be hit and miss. The consistent rain is likely on your Friday. In fact, I think we'll see cloudy skies and look at daytime highs estimated to fall back down to the upper 50s, but rain likely mainly after 9 a.m., and this will be more of a consistent rainfall throughout much of the day and maybe into the evening with showers, rain. I'm moving from showers to rain likely Friday night as well. Could be a wet one for high school football. Thursday night will be all right. Most of the games for the viewing area are Thursday. Friday night, we've got at least one, and it could be a wet one. And that rain is likely again on your Saturday. And check out daytime highs right now. 56 degrees is where we stand, a low of 52 under cloudy skies for the first half of your weekend. And Sunday, not much improvement, but some. I think we'll see 64 and cloudy skies again. I had partly sunny yesterday. Today, no sun in Sunday's forecast with a 40% chance of some rain. And then after we might start to dry up on Monday, early Monday morning, Monday afternoon, well, that's when we have to start to keep an eye out for what could be left of Joaquin, maybe moving in next week. Right now, it's not in the forecast, but it's certainly in the back of our minds. And that is indeed going to be my time for this evening. Thank you all for being a part of the show. We'll see you back here tomorrow night for more of Your News Today.